All right, folks, welcome back. Yesterday, there was a man on the streets in Queens, a borough in New York City, and he attacked 4 police officers who were posing for a picture with a pedestrian, and he came at them with an axe, critically injuring one who's still in the hospital. They shot the perpetrator dead, and in the process injured a bystander. The other 3 officers have been released from the hospital. Joining us is Nicholas Casale, former Director of Counterterrorism for New York's Metropolitan Transit Authority and founder of Casale and Associates. Great to see you, sir, again. All right, you know, yesterday CNN and Fox, they were playing up the Facebook postings of this, who I'm told is a Muslim convert, who took the axe to these police officers, talking about how it showed, you know, an intent to, consistent with jihadism and to an extent. Now they're backing away. Law enforcement says there's no apparent link. What's your take on what happened?
You know, I guess we're going to have to look more into it. The investigation will have to develop. Just because he is a convert and he may have radical views, was his act based upon the radical views, or is he just what the police department calls an emotionally disturbed person, a psycho who walks in the streets with an axe?
It would be see, I mean, we're only speculating. To me, a huge coincidence that in the wake of the 2 Canada incidents, ICE is putting out the call. Well, law enforcement has been warned by the FBI to be on the lookout for such a thing. Guy used an axe, which is, you know, could chop your head off, one guy was injured by the head. You know, to just say, oh, he just happens to be a mentally ill nut who could have just as easily walked into a candy store and did it to a store clerk. I mean, I'm a little skeptical.
And there's good reason to be skeptical because, you know, ISIS, unlike Al-Qaeda, who had cells within the United States, they have a better policy. They're trying to get those people who are self-radicalized, those people that are on the fringe, they're trying to motivate them to become martyrs and warriors for the cause, and there is no way to stop that. There's no way to stop an attack on a soldier guarding a monument. There's no way to stop an attack on a police officer patrolling the streets. And that's what they're going to count on. If this, in fact, is true, then we have to be very cautious because it could become epidemic.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, speaking of epidemic, no pun intended here, but let's talk about the Ebola and your position that you held with the MTA. This doctor, who now has Ebola, he's in isolation at Bellevue, he rode the subway. I mean, he took an Uber cab, which freaked me out because for the first time in my life ever, that night, I took an Uber cab. The driver said they didn't go to Brooklyn, but I did check. But he rode the subway, went to restaurants, he went bowling. If it's just him, if this doesn't spread, you know, it's understandable that he caught it in Africa. But what if someone from, let's say, that rode with him on the subway, or ate with him in the restaurant, or was in the bowling alley, not in his immediate clique, gets it? What would that mean?
You know, we have to. I guess we have to address this 2 ways. One is I think it's a little reckless on people who are coming back from treating people with Ebola. That upon arrival to the United States, they should have been quarantined for a period and then released.
Well, the CDC should have that as policy, right?
That should be either the federal policy or the policy of the local.
But
states.
It was personally reckless on his part, feeling fatigued as he said he had been for days, to go out like that. No,
I think, and knowing that he did a good act by going there, knowing that he's a professional, makes it all the more confusing. But I think the point here is if a second person who had some form of contact with him, and they're saying it has to be something with bodily fluids. I don't know if it's airborne from a sneeze or not, but somebody who comes into contact with him, if that third party who only had a minor interaction was to contract Ebola, it would be very difficult for New York City because then they would have to fight panic and have to convince the people that this is not a contagious or epidemic.
Yeah, because we keep hearing that you got to have, you know, bodily fluids exchange with the guy, with the person.
Right. Hopefully they're right.
Yeah.
I can't comment on that. I'm not in a position.
I hope they're right.
But
too.
You know, there is some confusion as to how easy it is to be contagious.
Absolutely.
But another thing is that if it does occur, right, then we have. I mean, New York City. Right. New York City can't survive without a subway.
It would be a ghost town.
It would be difficult.
Yeah. All right. Great to see you, and I hope that they're right, although I have no confidence in them. Nicholas Casale, former Director of Counterterrorism for New York City's Metropolitan Transit Authority, MTA, and founder of Casale and Associates. Thank you. We're coming back, folks, with Deputy Financial Editor Rob Williams, and we'll tell you how the markets closed out the week coming off of yesterday's big rally. Don't go away.